Ladies and gentlemen, take a minute to look at that day that we have outside. I could be out in that, but instead I'm doing my fair dues and sitting down and recording a video for you this week. So if you don't like and subscribe to my channel immediately, you'll be doing the world an injustice. Nevertheless, I wanted to talk about saving this week. More specifically, saving for those of you who are probably in your late teens or your early 20s. You might be in college working a part-time job, alright, tying up loose ends, doing what you can to get by. Or you might be like me, doing an apprenticeship in the early stages where you're only earning about 250 to 350 euro a week. And I wanted to tell my personal experience from saving, how I managed to save 5,000 euro, earning 350 a week, and also in a lot of stages earning 250 a week. So before I go throwing advice around like it's nobody's business, I wanted to talk candidly about my personal experience with earning a small wage but being able to save up to a substantial amount where I'm comfortable. So I work in an apprenticeship, so I earn more so of an allowance rather than an actual wage, or at least for the minute I do, because I'm still relatively in the early stages. Despite earning money consistently for the first time in my life, I quickly understood that spending my minimal 250 euro wage every week on nights out and pairs of shoes was going to get me absolutely nowhere in life. I think the point where that realization really hit home was in around New Year's on 2019, where I was out in Kilkenny and I literally couldn't even afford a pint of Heineken. I had to get money off my parents to be able to afford a drink. Now, of course, I'm doing an apprenticeship, so I'm getting paid while I'm also on my path to something promising, a career, just like going to college and getting a degree. But in the meantime, I want to be getting a bang for my buck. So this led to me consistently saving my money every week to do things that I enjoyed. Initially, I wanted to go on a holiday in early 2020, and my goal was to have 1,500 euro to be able to fly out and have a decent holiday. Despite the short time frame I gave myself to achieve that goal, I managed to have 1,500 euro around the April time of 2020. But just as my savings got very real, so did coronavirus, and I was in the same boat as pretty much everybody else in the world, where I was forced to do nothing. Everything was closed. There's nowhere that I could actively go out and spend an irresponsible amount of money. So as I already had this level of momentum when it came to savings, I kind of brought it to another extreme. So I am still in my financial infancy. The only expense I had every month was a phone bill. I was single at the time, living at home with my parents. Still living at home with my parents, I might add. If I get enough subscribers, hopefully I'll be able to move out one day. To avoid veering off topic, I had no car bill to pay every month either. So I was getting this allowance, alright, it had been bumped up to 350 a week, and the only expense that needed to be paid every month was a phone bill. Funnily enough, one of the few places that was open was the credit union, and you would have most certainly seen me there every single week, topping this bad boy up, getting that savings account popping. I think from earning 350 a week, I'd literally throw 300 a week into the savings consistently, like relentlessly. Every single week, that is the amount that I'd put in. And you know what? I was spending so little that little 50 quid allowance I was leaving myself every week was also compounding, because I wasn't even spending that. Now I know what you're thinking. Like, obviously it's super easy to save money stupendously when you're at home, there's nowhere open, you don't even have to spend money on diesel to go to work every day. And listen, I agree, but from this momentum just absolutely snowballing, by the time it was time to return to work, I was still saving an immense amount of money. I have a couple of vital things that I do every single day that allows me to avoid spending money on things that I think are quite useless. First of all, lunches. I work on sites, okay, and one thing that people on construction sites are hugely fond of, I think everybody in Ireland in general is fond of, is an old chicken fillet roll. going to the shop, alright, every single day they'd be spending at least €10 or sometimes even €20 a day on their bleeding lunch. And think of it, right? You're going to work minimum 5 days a week probably if you work full time, and you're spending all this money on a lunch. Whereas if you just made your lunch at home, you would be saving so much money at the end of the week. Of course, since that time I have bought a new car and I have got an outgoing car bill every month, but that's because I saved enough money for me to be able to reward myself by buying a nice new car that I actually am able to afford every month without any worries. And yet I'm still saving the disposable income I have every single month and putting it into my savings. And listen, to a certain extent, I lead a life of abstinence. You know, I do enjoy the odd night out, and especially it's summertime, that urge to go out and have a few pints is sky high. I really put a limit to how much I spend, alright? I might take a bit of cash out and spend the cash that I take out and have that as a cap on how much I spend on the night out, whereas instead of using my card and tapping away constantly, and then next thing you know, you're paying more for one night out than you might earn in a single week. And listen, I know how much young people like me love to party, alright? But I make sure to not spend a cent on, the substances, the psychoactive substances on a night out. So I'm saving money there as well. I wanted to make this video to combat the excessive amounts of people that talk to you about passive income and investing to make money these days, because if we're being truthfully honest, it's very hard to make a substantial investment without having the money to invest it. One of the only ways to achieve that amount of money to do something like invest in, I don't know, cryptocurrency, stocks, a house, is by saving that money up. Of course, there are less extreme ways to go about saving. I've avoided talking about budgeting in this video because I've made this video to focus on the young people that I'd like to think probably have less bills that they need to budget for so that they can get their savings up. So what are the benefits of saving? If you want to be a potential financial guru, you can be approved bigger loans that you can reinvest and earn compound interest on. I'm sure there'll be a few experts in the comments that will be able to talk more in depth about stuff like that. But also, just with savings in general, you really are setting yourself up to be more successful in your future pursuits. Say a mortgage, the banks will be looking at your saving history, and it's pretty much impossible to go for a mortgage without at least 6 months worth of evidence of saving. It's always good to start early, even if you don't have any plans to buy a house. You never know. If you catch enough momentum, you manage to save a lot of money. You might be looking at that savings account and thinking, wonder what the housing market's saying. Also, say you maybe don't enjoy your job that much. You want to pursue something else. Maybe that's not quite as corporate or as safe. Give yourself a little safety net for a couple of months while you're in pursuit of something that you are passionate about. Let this go without saying though. Do not forget to enjoy yourself. Have an honest word with yourself about what it is that you enjoy. For me, it is 100% the gym, and the odd time maybe, doing a bit of clothes shopping, but spend appropriately. I used to train at a gym where before the lockdown, it was a little bit cheaper. And once things reopened, they started charging £100 a month just to train 3 days a week. Nothing against, the opening price, okay? Given the circumstances, that's perfectly okay. Except I just can't afford that. So I made the switch to a gym that, for the equivalent price, I get 3 months where I get to train as much as I want. And then have a bit of advice when it comes to clothes as well, particularly if you're a male. Go brandless. You're future-proofing yourself when it comes to the fashion trends. And also, you're spending a little bit less because you're not buying brands. And also, right, I know a couple of years are into your shoes, alright, but I have a bit of a game changer here. And listen, I don't want this to be too taboo, alright? I want you to have a bit of empathy and understanding here. These are a pair of Jordan 4 UNC or University blues or whatever they're called. I think like these shoes would go for like €600, like for a real pair. So what did I get? A fake pair. Now, can you tell me the difference? Would you be able to tell me if these were real or fake? You know, probably not. And how much did I spend on these? €100 rather than €600. I have another example. Look at these, alright? A breathtaking shoe. The Sean Wotherspoon Air Maxes. These go for a ridiculous price. These go for about $1,200 minimum. I only spent, again, about 150 on these, and I get compliments on them the whole time. So, you know, just be wise. Just be wise with your money. I really hope that if you found this video, that it was helpful to you in some way. Alright, the way people talk about money these days, it's in the vein of, you know, provoking insecurity in everybody else, or to prevent feeling insecure about, you know, what somebody else might be opening up about in terms of how much money that they have. I'm not into that whole conversation. I just wanted to, you know, be as open and honest as I could. Alright, I've been in points where my bank account has literally had a minus figure, and I decided one day to change that. But of course, if you are new to this channel, make sure you like the video and subscribe as well. If you have your own tips, make sure you leave them in the comments below. But that's all from me. I hope you all have a great week, people, and I'll see you later.